everybody for giving me some time today to come on and talk. My team, I manage our educational services team at Emerson, and so my team is a group. We go around the country and do instructor-led training on HVAC and refrigeration topics. You guys might have had us out to your facility. I think Don Gillis is on the call. You guys might have had Don out doing some instructor-led training at your facility. For contractors and other people in the industry. But one of the things we also do, in addition to running all of our instructor-led programs, is that we manage our Emerson Learning Portal as well, which is our learning management system. So, and I know, now is kind of a time where you guys might have some people within your groups who are available to do some learning online, or maybe you're looking for some training on a specific topic, but instructor-led training is not really an option right now. So for you or for your customers, for contractors who are out there looking for training, this seems like a great time to kind of tap into some of the resources that we've been able to put out onto our system recently. Over the last year, I think we've put about 75 to 100 new classes out on our portal. So lots of new information out there for people to take a look at. So from our website, our learning portal, we kind of set it up. It's designed to do a couple of things. One is that it's a place where people can go to register for learning. So you can go and find self-paced programs, and you can also, as a learner, kind of keep track of your progress on things too. So it'll give you completion percentages for like classes, and then some bigger learning plans, and I'll show you guys some of that here in a minute. We also send communications sometimes via the learning portal. So when people register, we can send out communications to those folks that, we're launching a new class or things like that, to let people know kind of what's going on the site. And then we can also do reporting on the site too. So if you'd like to get some information maybe about, people at your organization and their progress on classes, if you want to give them a few things in terms of direction, take these 5 classes or take this learning plan, we can do some reporting on progress there too, so you can kind of see maybe how your teams are progressing through some of that learning. So, and I've got our email addresses here on this slide too, and this is the image here is kind of a picture of the landing page when you sign into our website and kind of what you see. So I'm going to take a look at some of that here in a sec. So I mentioned one of the big things we have on the site is some of our self-paced learning modules. So we have, this is just a big list to kind of show you just the volume of stuff we have out there and to give you a sense of some of the types of topics that we have out there. So each of these, and these are individual training modules on different products that we offer. And some of them, they're Emerson specific, like it's talking about an Emerson product, but a lot of them, a class like solenoid valves is really kind of, general industry training as well. It's going to use our product as an example, but it's going to tell you about, how that type of component works in a system. So, and each of these really kind of go through, well, let me go ahead and go to the next slide. I was going to give you an example of kind of what a product training or a single training module looks like from our site. So for each of these types of modules, the training really goes through, kind of what are the features of this product, how does it operate, how's it designed, what's the functionality, and then for some products, like if it's a case controller, for example, it'll have some information on getting started with that product, so how to install it, any kind of quick setup tips, that type of stuff, any programming. So it varies a little bit depending on what the type of product is. But you do get all of that type of information around, features, operation, design, and how it functions for pretty much everything. So, and here I put a few pictures from a class that we have out there on discus compressors. But I thought I'm going to go ahead and I pulled that up. I'm going to share this to give you guys a sense of what it looks like on our site. So I pulled up that class I logged in, from a learner's view and pulled it up here. So you can see when I pull this up, I'm going to go to just a few samples of some of the pages from here. Oops. I can navigate here from the menu, but let's see. So if I want to look at things like, so we're talking about discus compressors here. So I can come in and learn a little bit about things like the valve design. This is talking about the discus valve technology. So I can click on some of these buttons and learn about the different types of valves, how the discus valve is different than a reed type valve. So a lot of this, we try to make it kind of interactive, where I'm kind of moving through, maybe I'm watching a little video or vignette on something, and then I'm clicking to read some information, and then throughout you'll see kind of quiz questions that come up too, so I can kind of test what I've learned. So that's one type of screen design. Let me click around here. So we've got, here's some information about capacity modulation with discus. So each of these I can click into. So even though, the course overall looks like it has about 20 screens, from each one you can really dig in and get more information around each. So here I can look at some of the different information about discus digital, and there's a video that's in here that I can bring up.
Copeland discus compressors have long.
A lot of these have, I think most of them vary from about 15 to 30 minutes. And we try to make them interactive and engaging. And then throughout, let me go to one of the, we try to include like quiz questions throughout too. So as a learner, I can kind of check what I'm learning as I go. So when you finish, you feel like you really, have the ability to kind of meet the objectives. We lay out some learning objectives at the beginning of the class. And so the goal is really by the end that you've learned about those things, you've answered some questions, you feel comfortable that you can do all of these things that were originally laid out in those objectives. So that's kind of how the classes look out on the site. And one other thing we do for a lot of these classes, we have a quiz at the end too. So there's like a 10-question quiz that you can take that if you score 80%, it gives you, congratulations, you've completed the course. You can download a certificate. If you don't, you can try it again. You can go back in the class and find the right answers and that type of thing too. So just another kind of challenge at the end of some of those classes. So that's kind of what the classes look like. And then let me actually, while I'm out there, if I close this class, one of the things I was going to show too is that this class on discus compressors, I'm accessing it as part of a learning plan. So one of the things that we have out on the site that helps to kind of organize some of the content that's out there, and I think if I were making a recommendation, is a great way for your teams or your customers to kind of go through some of this information, because it chunks it out into related topics. So for example, this is a learning plan on Copeland products, on Copeland compressors, condensing units, valves, system protectors. So you can get a sense of, here are all the topics that are touched on in this learning plan. And as I go down, here are all the different individual modules or product modules and I was just in that discus compressor class. So if I click each of these is an individual training module. So they're all grouped here together as a Copeland learning plan. And as a learner, up at the top, I can see, I finished 79% of these, so I'm about 80% finished with this plan. So that's something that we can kind of report on too. If you're interested in knowing, how, okay, I wanted to ask my team to take this Copeland learning plan. Can I check in and see how they're doing? So, for me, I'm 80% through this plan. I've got a couple. As I scroll down, you can kind of see the blue checks are the ones I've completed. The orange checks are the ones that I've started but haven't finished yet, so you can get a sense of kind of where you are as a learner.
So Ben, if somebody were to want to set up a learning plan for either themselves or for some of their customers, what should they do? Can they contact you to get those set up?
Yeah, one of the things, Julie, that we're wanting to do right now is, because it's a time when I think this would be valuable for a lot of people, is set up free access to some of these learning plans that we haven't provided before. So I was, let me share. was putting together some instructions for how to get that, but what we were going to do is offer this promotion called Emerson 2020 promotion, and if any new user signs up on our website and registers and selects during the registration, if they select this Emerson 2020 promotion, it will give them access to all of these learning, to 10 different learning plans, which have over 100 self-paced learning modules in them. So this, I think, might be a way for, you know, if you guys wanted to promote these with your customers or give access to your employees, this is a way that you can get set up with access to those without any charge.
That's excellent. And then I guess if one of the, you know, somebody from a leadership position at a wholesaler, if they wanted to see the status of their employees and how they were progressing through the learning plans, is that something you could provide access to?
Yeah, that would be definitely something we can put together, and you can either, let's see, I've got here in the slides, I know I have our email address, coldchain.educationalservices@emerson.com, and that you can send an email to that or to me directly, and we can get the reporting set up based on what you'd like to see. So we can do kind of custom reporting, and we have a team member who can run those, you know, as needed.
Perfect. And then one other question: if a user is already registered on the learning portal, is this retroactive? I mean, can they still get access to the 2020 promotion? Even if they...
I went in. So we've gone in and provided that access to anyone on the site who registered as when you're registering, you can select that you're a contractor or wholesaler. So anybody who was set up on the site as a contractor or wholesaler today was assigned those learning plans. So so they should have. So anybody who's already using them, who's already been in there, can just register using you know, their existing login credentials, and when they get in, they'll see these learning plans in the system.
That's great. You know, the only other thing I can think is, and we can work with our marketing services group, but maybe developing an email campaign that our wholesalers could use for their outbound marketing, you know, that they're doing to any of their contractor lists. I would think, you know, now is an opportunity not just for wholesalers to learn, but for some contractors too, and whatever we can do to help wholesalers get the word out. But yeah, so we will work on formulating some kind of an email campaign that the wholesalers can use.
No, that sounds great.
Did you have anything else to cover? If not, I'm going to open it up in case there's any questions.
No, the only other thing I was going to talk about, so I showed those an example of that Copeland learning plan, but of the 10, we've got they're organized in different ways. So we have 5 of them are organized by brand. So if you wanted to go in and like look at, you know, you want to look at Copeland products, or if you wanted to look at electronics and solutions, you can go through that way. So it's just a couple different ways of organizing. So the other one is we have some asset-based learning plans. So with these, the first training module in each of the plans is an overview of that refrigeration asset. So an overview of, you know, like a walk-in refrigeration, a walk-in cooler, or a refrigeration rack, and how it works, what are the components, and that type of thing. So it gives the overview first, and then there are modules for all the different components that you would find in there. So I think I've got a picture of it here. So here's a walk-in cooler, and it talks about, you know, it might have a condensing unit, it might have a controller. So it would lay that out in that intro module, and then as part of the learning plan, there would be a training module on each of those individual components too. So just a couple of different ways that some of those are laid out was the only other thing that I kind of wanted to take a look at.
Great. Okay, so thank you for covering that, Ben, and I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone and see if there are any other questions that are out there. Everyone is unmuted, and I'm going to try and mute people that are popping up as, any questions out there, either from the sales guys or from the customers?
Julie, Chuck from Sid Harvey. If I want to ask Ben, so how are you?
Good. How are
we
you?
wanted to set up, good. We're hunkered down. I'm safe. Just basically go from the living room to the dining room to the family room. That's about it. But if we wanted to set this up for like a younger employee and say, all right, I want to task you to take 2 of these a week for the next 5 weeks or something, that's something we could set up.
Yeah, I think that's kind of that's kind of what we've done with some of our teams here. So I think that sounds perfect. And then one of the things Julie was talking about, like we could, if you want to kind of keep track of how they're doing, we could set up some reporting. So, at the end of each week or each month, we could send you a report of, the different people you'd like to keep track of and how they're doing.
Okay. All right. I have to get this to Leo and Mark, but okay. I have a couple ideas for a couple different employees. All right. Thank you.
Questions out there?
Hey, Ben, just one quick question, Trevor here. So now that anybody that's registered already, if they go in, everything is open up to them now? It doesn't matter? That's what you said?
Anybody who's registered as a contractor or wholesaler, we're going to give them till the end of this calendar year with these learning plans. So they'll have access
till the end of the calendar year. Perfect.
Yeah, we're going to do till the end of the calendar year.
Thank you.
Hey, Julie, Mike
Any
Williams.
other questions? Hey, Mike.
Yeah. Since we know we don't have every wholesaler on and barely any contractors, would this be a good campaign to do on both a bulletin
Absolutely.
and RCW?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
I was just going to talk to you about that.
Okay. So, Ben, I'll probably be making some arrangements with you to get some information into step-by-step instructions on how to teach them to get into the system and set themselves up.
Yeah, Mike, that sounds good.
Okay, good deal. Thanks, Julie.
Sure.
Hey, Ben, Mike and Julie, Dave Dallin here.
Hey, Dave.
Is there any way we could come up with like just a little short presentation in that bulletin on how to do it and then how to create the key person in your group who will be overseeing all of this to make sure your people are taking it?
I am sure that I should be able to put that in the bulletin.
That's a good idea.
Hey, Ben, this is MJ. Can you hear me?
Hey,
I can. Hey, MJ.
Hey,
yeah,
I was
Ernesto from Commercial picking up his order.
yes, I was wanting to add,
And
in courses do you use, well, if they take these courses, can they use some of these courses for continuing education hours? And will they also get some sort of certificate saying that they accomplished the course?
They do. At the end, you can print at the end of the class when you've finished it. It gives you the option to print a certificate of completion, and then with that, if you're working with an organization that is offering those credits, I think I would take that and see if I could apply that time, those class hours to try to get that continuing education credit.
Okay, thank you. I have one more question for you. Do we have any courses that are geared to cost training, or I guess a cost preparation course as well as a CCS refresher course?
So the cost class would be like the compressor operation and service seminar. And I would say that some of these classes that fall within the Copeland, the compression learning plan would be, the type of information it'd be a good primer for, if you're going to go take the cost class, to take some of those. Same with, the refrigeration rack system learning plan. A lot of the content from there would also, I think, be, a good a good introduction to some of those topics that you'll learn about in the instructor-led classes.
Okay, thank
Great.
you, Ben.
Any other questions?
Hey, Julie, Mike Nolly here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mike, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, first thing is just a reminder to all the people on this webinar that if you're in an environment where there's a lot of background noise, when the group is unmuted, you can mute yourself. It's kind of distracting. Number two, I heard Ben mention emails being sent out. I've never received an email, and I am registered on the site, so just a heads up on that. I'm not sure what that is. But I would invite emails about course updates and things to be sent out. And then last thing is, are all CTS invited to register or registered in the learning portal? Because if not, maybe we can get a notification out to the CTS group and get them registered on the site.
Yeah, we can certainly make sure that all the product managers and all the Copeland technical specialists, and frankly, anybody that's calling in for both this call and the refrigeration, the basic and advanced refrigeration calls, that they all have, that they all receive the bulletin on how to sign up. And then feel free, again, to forward that within your organizations as you see fit.